Oh, well, I just got out of a really wonderful meeting. So I found this woman who was attending another group that I was attending. She was brought by a member, and she was talking about the film Common Ground, and I went, "Oh yeah!" And she got all excited that I knew what it was. So we had a meeting. She was working 2 days a week, so she's got lots of time. She ran for Congress not too long ago, so she's got a lot of connections, especially in rural Washington. And she just knows how to get things done and do stuff and all of that. So she's gonna um, sort of do marketing and start making connections for talks and that kind of stuff. So
Perfect.
that is kind of exciting.
Are Matt and Faith joining us?
Yeah, it's at 5:30 it starts though.
Oh.
And I think and I think Sam Russell will be here too. Sam, we just talked briefly on the phone today. He sent me a letter saying that he is working with Spokane Community College, getting his degree in arbor as an arborist, and so he wants to do a Miyawaki Forest project. And so I told him we will support him in doing that. Little does he know, we want to make him our Miyawaki expert. But he said that's kind of what he wants to do. So I'm hoping that that will be something that will be good for him, that he will be excited about that. So um, we'll talk a little bit about that today. I'm trying not to scare people too much.
Yeah, I'm already terrified, so I
So hopefully they'll all be able to make it. I don't know how that link is going to work if they do not belong in the first place. So we'll see how that works.
well, eventually when I logged in, the link I used was on the
Agenda.
agenda.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the right one to use.
Um, I don't know if it's the same as the one from the website.
Yeah, it should be, but I didn't bother getting all of them into the website yet. So we'll talk about that tonight if they want to do that and how to do that and all that kind of stuff. Um, talk briefly with Mitch. Um, yeah,
How's he doing with his recovery?
he's doing well and he's at a dangerous place because he feels real good. And so he overdid it a few days ago, so he's recovering from that. He's such a joy to talk to. He's such a mature human being. So he's working on his attention to be aware of what he's doing so that he doesn't do that again, understanding what his limitations are, and that kind of stuff.
Oh, the physical
Yeah,
limitations.
yeah. And it's hard at that age and on a farm, all
Yeah.
sorts of things that encourage you to do otherwise. So,
Don had a very horrible experience with his broken wrist.
yeah.
um, in one of his checkups with his surgeon, the surgeon's office, who was not with the surgeon, it was a medical aide or whatever they call them. But the person was moving his wrist back and forth, like checking the movement, and then he pushed his Don's wrist back,
Oh, oh,
which set and this is actually coming from Don's physical therapist. It set his development past back 2 weeks.
yeah, yeah.
And actually, I guess it sounds like this guy has a reputation of being overzealous or
Well, I hope he's complaining and talking to the doctor about it.
hope so.
I do. Trust me. I got somebody fired at one of my places because I told him, I said, I'm not sure I'm coming back. And when she at the next appointment, she was there and I said, "Oh, I think you worked on me last time." She said, "Oh, yeah, probably." And I said, "I don't want you again." And she was just, oh, oh, oh. I would, no, I won't let you touch me. It's just, and she disappeared. So yeah, kind of got to do that.
Yep. Um, yep. I mean, I know Dawn, um, I know he talked to his physical therapist. He got back on track. He actually, um, even with that setback, he required fewer physical therapy sessions than
Nice.
what she thought was happening, what she thought.
Yeah, I talked to the guy who's going to do the nerve thing, and I'm not impressed with him either. So we'll see. He did some tests, and my fingers are numb, but they're also hypersensitive at the same time. And he hit me with a sharp thing, and I just went through the roof. And Thursday, he's going to put pins on my and do a lot of that kind of thing to see what. So I'm just not excited. And he tells me it's all my wrist. Oh, yeah, you got some things in your neck, but no, it's really in your wrist. And other
Yeah,
people have said that's not true. So so we'll just see where that goes. And I told him that my chiropractor had been helpful. Oh, chiropractor helpful. Because he asked me if I'd put on gloves. No, I didn't, or a wrist thing. No, I hadn't done that. If I'd done physical therapy, yeah, I'd done that. Nothing worked. It's the only thing that worked was the chiropractor. And so it pushed him to write down chiropractor work. He was not going to do that. So we'll just see. We'll just see.
yeah.
Yeah. He wants to do wrist surgery. Well, we'll see.
God.
Yeah. So I'm not doing anything until I'm done with the chiropractor because that is making a difference. And it makes sense to me that it's my neck, it's all working. I'm happy as a camper. It's nothing invasive, no surgeries, none of that. So I'm gonna stick with what I'm doing.
I think chiropractors have a reputation with doctors as permaculture people have with architects and landscape architects.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yep. Yeah. But so it was really good talking to Bernie. I'm very excited about her. And Thursday we are gonna go
who's Bernie?
so Bernie will be our marketing person.
Oh,
Uh, and she is taking me to an event being held by the Inland Pacific Northwest Conservation Group, which is a group we are in conversation with for Miyawaki Forest. And they talked to me about it. We're going to go away and write the money for it, and then it evaporated, and I'm not sure why. So I need to get back in touch with them, and I haven't. So this will be a chance for me to talk to Dave and Rose again. Um, and just see the property too that they want to put it on. And anyway, so it'll be good. So we're doing that Thursday night.
I
So
had a long call conversation with a recent joiner of the GRC who's an architect.
oh yeah, yeah, I've met
Um,
him. I told him to meet you.
oh, well, I don't know if he wants to talk to me again. Um, he was being sort of being polite about the lumber thing and like it's renewable. I go, that's not. I didn't say it, not quite that. Um, but it's interesting. He shared a story with I don't know, sometime in the past. He did this long hike on Vancouver Island, and the path that the um trail went through a forest that had been logged 20 some years ago, and there were signs, we logged this 20 years ago, and here it's regrowing. But he was completely aware that that is not a forest. No, no understory, no other vegetation. I said, that's what our tree farms are. It's not.
Right, right.
Um,
Here comes Sam. Sam is a quick one too. He's been on things like that. So that's well of him and
well,
his
I,
interest.
I can be really fast if I make a mistake when it starts.
Hey Sam, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good. Good to have you here.
Good.
So Sam, this is Carl Welty. Carl is our resident architect. He's in California.
Oh, cool. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Sam.
So we are expecting Mitch and Faith and Matt.
Oh, Mitch also.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Talked to him yesterday. So Mitch is in Canada, so he's an hour, I think, ahead of us on a farm.
I've shared this the video of from jo J Jake Weiss, what Weiss
Zach Weiss.
Zach Weiss, um the video of California won't stop burning until we do this.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um
And I sent you an email too of a group that is working on California burn.
I saw that.
Okay.
Um
So we've gotten very interested in fire since the California burn, Sam, and have been learning a lots of things about fire and the fire forest service
Yeah.
and how forests are managed. So yeah.
Yeah. We focus a lot on that at the college too, because the internship that I'm in, most of the students are in the forestry program, but I'm
Oh,
in the horticulture side of things, so I get both views of it.
uh,
But yeah, they're talking a lot about the restoration side of things and what affects the restoration rates and how hot it is and how that affects the soil health and how that affects how long it takes to bounce back from the fire and all those
well,
things.
not all of that is true. Just to give you a little on FYI, I would recommend a book called Smokescreen by Chad Hansen, which gives a quite different picture of the Forest Service.
Yeah.
And you might find it's not something that is cheerfully discussed with your classmates, but that's
I
okay.
know I don't agree with a lot of it.
Well, it's interesting. And the 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 tact I'm taking is to talk about how green does not burn, wet does not burn.
Yeah.
So are the things they doing making the forest green and wet? And by and large, the answer is no. So that's a place for conversation.
Yeah.
Sam, you might have might be aware of this is um I would love to have some data on the soil health of these monocrop tree plantations, which I'm pretty sure is not as healthy and moist as native forests, natural forests.
Yeah. It won't have the same level of humus
Yeah, no,
as,
not at all.
yeah.
It's basically
Um,
just dead dirt.
Yep, yep, yep.
and I don't know if I've mentioned this to you, Catherine, but in talking to somebody in our community, so the question of do they use nitrogen fertilizer in these monocrop tree plantations? And yes, they do. It's
Well, they want them to grow fast.
yeah.
So everything that to spur growth is what they're doing, which creates, of course, a very weak wood. So it's not good to build with because it's weak. So they do things to it.
Um, Sam, one of the things that I've looked into recently into this question about monocrop agricultural practices, and comparing it to monocrop tree plantations, is I looked at the total acres of monocrop tree plantations, and it's shockingly much higher than the total acreage of corn or soybeans, which in the green design world has been taught to believe or taught to look the other way. Look at corn, look at soybeans, because that's the thing that's destroying our planet. But the reality is an estimate of total area of monocrop tree plantations is 500 million acres versus about 90 million acres for both corn and soy. 90 million acres for both of them, for each one of them. Um, was- anyway, so that's a shocking number that these tree farms are um they are, the ecological impact of these tree farms is much larger than what we are led to believe.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was that vast.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Um,
And there are things that can be done, actually. But they're not being done. But I think in fact, I know there are ways of working with what we have and to improve it, and make it wetter.
Dan, I'd love to learn more about, what you know about restoring forest into natural forests.
What is Brock's last name? Carl, do you remember?
No. Brock Broughton, Brock.
Um, so he has been working with what he calls gully stuffing, using slash and ground debris to actually fill in the ravines that develop. So when we took beavers out of the forest, the water that comes with rain has no real place to go anymore, and so it's creating erosion issues in place.
Yeah.
And so he uses slash and debris from the forest floor to stuff those gullies to slow the water, to eliminate the erosion, and to make the water sink and stay. So that wets the forest floor and keeps the forest floor wet. So he's got a whole process for that, and he's been teaching people how to do that. He was
It's
one of
interesting.
yeah,
It's like a large scale hugelculture of sorts, but
yeah,
it's
exactly,
more for
exactly,
keeping the water in the system. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah,
that's one of the things that can be done without making a lot of changes to what's already there. Just takes manpower more than anything.
Brock Dolman.
Dolman. Yeah, Hart has joined the webinar for tomorrow.
The 8 o'clock.
5:30.
Oh, that webinar.
Yes, ours. Not his, ours. There they are.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Good. So Matt and Faith, this is Sam. Sam is interested in Miyawaki Forest. He's a student at Spokane Community College.
Nice.
And Carl Welty, who is our resident architect and passive solar designer, and he's in California.
Okay.
Cool.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Nice to meet
guys.
you.
And I hope we're waiting for Mitch Rawlick, who is in Canada. Mitch is a permaculture guy, and he has a tool that allows you to see how water wants to flow on the land, how water and sun move across the land. It's really brilliant, very nice.
Nice. Cool.
So yeah, I'm anticipating he will be here.
And that's to say, I have a very deep interest in water, keeping water on the land. And that's the the most likely strategy for cooling our planet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And I, if you guys, follow Zach Weiss much, that's
Yep.
a lot of what he says, and I have to agree with him that it's, yeah, the quickest way to reverse all the issues we're having is through water.
Yep.
And, yeah,
Well, it's through soil. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It really is the soil, because if the soil isn't healthy, it's not going to matter what you do to it.
It's
It has
the
healthy
keeping the water
parts.
on the land to build soil.
Yep.
yeah,
Mhm.
Build soil
Yeah.
to keep water on the land.
Yeah.
yep, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And
the
I think
soil is the
there's
unsung hero.
some earthworks, stuff we can do to kind of help it. And but yeah, it's hard to pick one. But I agree. She's more of on the soil side, and then I've taken more of the water courses. So
Right.
it's always an interesting debate.
Yeah.
Um, with
It's not a debate. It's a both and. It's a both.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. 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 And that's really why the biotic pump is so important to me, because it gives the rationale for all these. It tells you why they're all needed, and how and where they're needed, and how. So I think it forms a cohesive way of looking at the cooling of the planet as a system. And we need to think more in systems and less in parts and pieces anyway. So it's a really simple system that we can really get our arms and head around fairly easily, I think.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. It just makes it
yeah.
all fit in a really good way.
Yep, I agree.
I'm sharing. I'm part of my belief in the water soil tree combination is from knowing about there's a development in Davis which is now 50 years old, and I share these videos with anybody who I think deserves to know about it.
Yeah,
But they're really it's really an amazing example of what can happen to the soil and the microclimate after 50 years of collecting rainwater.
Yep.
Mhm.
yeah,
And that site was designed to hold water. That was the initial impetus. So it started from that premise. He wanted no runoff, and that's what he got. So they had 5 inches of rain in 2021 and had no runoff.
Wow.
yeah. It's pretty impressive. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so we do a lot with that. We've got 3 or 4 videos on it on the website, and we've interviewed one of the founder builders a couple of times. So
Nice.
it's a real testament. It's a living testament to what we want to see created going forward.
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah.
Especially in urban environments where we're going to be building. We're going to continue to build for a while. So to build in a way that will support the earth is not a bad move in our view.
yeah, absolutely. It's pretty eye-opening to see some of Zach Weiss's stories on and examples in these videos he's done where they've done all these waterworks and kept the water on the land, and how it's changed the culture in the area down
Yes.
to less crime and people coming together, and the quality of life just skyrocketing because of just simply keeping water on the land, and doing some of these pond projects. And then it's really just an ecosystem generator. It's pretty impressive to see
Yep.
what it will do to the local ecosystem, and it just breeds life incredibly quick. Everything flocks around it because it's just
Right.
water is life, and living things can't go too long without it. So yeah, it's really impressive to see some of those big works and how it's just changed the whole region around that area.
Yes. Yeah.
Whether it's
Yeah,
the third world countries, the villages.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
We're also really looking for stories of where places who have done that, whether it's through permaculture or through Zach's work, that had fire and survived it
yeah,
because of that work. So
right. Yeah, and I
talk
sent him a
lot
message.
more.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think maybe I didn't tell you. I thought I did, but there was a mess. I sent him an email. Him and Megan Neary, who's his kind of um partner in crime, you know, and partner in water, I guess. But I sent both of them an email, and yeah, I just haven't heard back yet. It sounds like they
Okay.
were on some projects, but as soon as I know, I'll definitely send,
Okay, thank
send you
you.
what I have, and I'll try to do a little digging, a little more digging as well. I didn't see, I thought saw some kind of general examples, but nothing like really specific. You know, nothing specific to fire mitigation. I
Right.
guess I'll put it that way.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yeah, so we'll see what happens. I'm really hoping Zach can get back to us here in the next few days. But when was your meeting again with the council?
it's coming up at the end of this month.
Right.
And I don't know if we're going to get there, but I do want to have a deeper discussion with the city around fire. And I want to bring in our fire department also.
Mhm.
But it's really hard to make a case, even though it's common sense, and they would agree, I'm sure, that wet doesn't burn, to really trust that enough to change policies,
Right.
would, I think, going to take examples. So if we
Yeah.
can, the more we can show them that it works. That's why we were so attached to Village Homes, because it's a picture, you know,
Yeah.
and it's been there for 50 years and it's been documented and all of that. So we have a ton of videos, tons of people have gone through there. It's got a lot of history. So it's really clear that that particular thing worked well.
Yeah,
I-
there's some examples from Australia, one in particular where you know, there was some permaculture works, and I'm trying to remember the name, I can't, but basically they created a mini rainforest, and I think they did some waterworks, you know, with that, as well. And there's a fire,
Walter Janane?
maybe, yeah, the fire basically burned all around this.
Yeah.
Okay, because
experiment.
Walter, I know, did a
Okay,
forest
yeah,
down there.
maybe that was him.
The what's I think great about Village Homes is it's the principles of keeping water in the site, but in a by all sort of description, it's a suburban development. Or it's a community,
Right.
and so that we can do these principles in development, not just in not in a
rural.
wilderness area.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And it sounds like that's really kind of the focus of your meeting with the council. And so yeah, I'll see if I can find specific examples with that in more of a populated, a little more densely populated area, like a town or whatever, and how that helped that region.
Okay,
So
thank you, thank you.
yeah.
The some of
Faith,
there was a white paper from I think 2005. There's been a few, but I think that was the last one. But they mentioned the point that you made, strengthening community.
Mm-hmm.
So there's less crime, more people know more people, have more friends.
Yeah.
It's
they're outside more.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And I can try to get the specifics on that one that I learned about in the water stories course, but that was it was in Africa. And so yeah, again, I'll have to look up more specifics on that. This was many months ago when I took this last year. And so yeah, it's been about a year or so since I was taking those
Right.
classes, but yeah, I'm excited to jump back into it because I would love to do that. I was actually just down in Utah on this, doing this soil workshop down there, and through the Cressive method. I'll show you my little certificate, but basically this
We can put that on.
oh, you can't really see it.
Oh,
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
so make a JPEG of it and I'll put it on I'll put it
Yeah.
on the website. Yep.
yeah, I think it's like if I go with it, it seems to work. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's this Cressive. This is the group, but Cressive it's the Cressive method, and they use the biology, the soil food web principles, but they also add minerals back into the conversation as well, because the biology will draw down your minerals pretty quick, and so
Yeah.
it's particularly helpful in intensive planting, greenhouse garden, a backyard garden, kind of a market farm scenario where there's higher turnover. You're using that soil quite a bit for crops, different crops, and this allows you to just maintain the soil health. When you have that kind of environment, especially. But even if you have a larger farm, there's some solubilized minerals you can apply that will increase just make it a healthier crop in general. So yeah, that's basically the crux of their method. They specialize in high density planting and kind of maximizing yield in a small space, more or less. So but then it has outside of just crops that you want to harvest, it's any other plant really.
Trees.
So
Yeah,
trees,
tree health.
yeah, we're gonna apply these principles on our own. We have a small orchard on our property, so yeah, they've got a lot of examples and pretty interesting stuff. Like when you have the minerals balanced, and it really is a balance before volume. It's not just putting a bunch of minerals on there. But
Right.
there was a Dr. Albrecht, and I don't know if you have an agenda, so I'm just going to talk. And so
I do, and I did send it to you, so
oh, okay, yeah,
yeah.
Try
So
to
yeah,
listen.
okay, I
but
can
this
let
is
you
in
talk.
the intro piece, so you
Okay.
do have
Okay, yeah.
permission to
Well,
talk. Oh, we all need to get to know each other, so that's okay.
sure. Yeah, well, in a nutshell, I'll just keep it really brief, but there's this Dr. Albrecht from University of Missouri, and he discovered back in the 40s, 50s, he wanted to know why more troops were being drafted from certain areas of the country, namely the Midwest was where most of the troops were drafted, because other areas like Appalachia, they couldn't accept some of those troops because of health problems, because of issues with their body or whatever, with health related. So and what he discovered was the differences in the soil, particularly the mineral content in the soil. And so he basically spent a lot of time spinning soil in a centrifuge and separating all of its parts. And what he found was essentially it came down to the ideal soil. It's actually a book you can check out. It kind of boils down his research into more or less cliff notes. But what he found out was it was more about the balance than anything else. And there's just certain soils that are more out of balance than others.
Yeah.
And so when you balance those minerals, it has a great effect. Sorry, I've got something in my throat. Probably talking too long. That's probably my cue to stop talking, maybe. But
Pat, can you put the name of the person you just mentioned in the chat?
yeah, I will do. William Albrecht. But he basically made this discovery and related the minerals to human health. And so when he tried to share a lot of this, it was catching on with a lot of farmers, but some corporate interests who were what's the name of when they donate to the universities, basically the farm something or other, but it's part of this, I think, farm bill. More or less, these corporations that fund the universities, they came in and they didn't like some of his research because it was hurting their profits. And so him and all of his followers were banned. I mean, yeah, they were fired basically. And so that was that. But so yeah, it's an interesting story to check out. He's got many books. A lot of them are pretty dry.
Yeah.
And
a lot hard to get through.
but he's got one on animal health as well, adding animals into a system.
Yeah, so Gabe Brown talks a lot about that, if you're not familiar with him.
Yeah.
Gabe Brown.
Right. Yeah. We've seen him in the documentaries, the
Yep.
Kiss the Ground, Common Ground, some of
Yep.
those.
I was gonna say though, Nick Tomasini, who you had on your last
Yeah.
webinar, he does the same thing. So he balances minerals and does the soil club
Yeah.
stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So Faith, I want you and Sam to think about what you both do, because Faith brings the soil health piece. And Milwaukee doesn't, they talk about it, but they don't talk about it.
Mm.
So they they tell you that they will make this, that they pay attention to the soil before they plant, but they don't tell you what that means.
Gotcha.
Or how to figure out what that means. So
Okay.
that's where you come in.
Yeah. So yeah,
That-
generally you always want to just look under the microscope first and see what you have going on. If there's any disease causing organisms, if you have enough fungi to support a healthy tree or not, predators. And then also what Matt was talking about is the mineral test. That's really important too. You want to have the right minerals in balance. So we do like the Malic 3 test for that. And then you inoculate your soil with the compost extracts, which is basically squeezing compost through a bag, but it has to be compost made to soil food standards because it's has all the minimums required. And
Right.
so we checked out the microscope also. And then,
Yeah.
you just do a series of inoculations and feeding some food in there as well for the organisms to grow. And then if you have enough organic matter, you want it to be at least 3%. Otherwise, the organisms have a hard time sticking around. And that can be, you can add compost at that point to the surface level or do some cover cropping to help build up the organic matter. And then mulching is super important also if you have just bare soil. Like rainfall is the biggest form of compaction for soil, just pounds on it. And then it just eventually you'll have nothing but compaction. So, and if there is compaction before you start planting, tilling's not great, but if you do one last till in, and then add extract minerals and with it, that's a great way to start. Oh, sorry, I don't know if that was what you're asking, but
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's good. So it's good for Sam to know. So all the three of you are here in Spokane. So they're in Cheney.
Mhm.
So I want us to get together
Mhm.
physically and meet
Okay.
and talk. But I think there's a real chance for us to do work together. So yeah, so I'm gonna let's see.
If I was gonna share real quick, just some pictures of some different systems I was working on down there. I don't know if you guys
Good.
can see, it should be popping up hopefully
Yeah.
on your screen.
So now if you want to send me, okay, so this is getting a little ahead of the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I am really, really clear about us working together. That is exactly what I mean. The two of you have real marketable skills. I think once people know what you're doing, you're going to have more work than you can handle. The Miyawaki Forest piece is going to be a harder sell because it's a more complex thing and it's not something that people can just do. It takes a little more forethought and planning and that kind of stuff. And I know Sam wants to work with schools. We're already in conversation with a couple of them. I'm in conversation with the Inland Northwest Conservation Project, and we'll be seeing them on Thursday actually to try and continue that conversation. So we've got a number of conversations that sort of started, but it's not a money-making thing in the same way that your skills are money-making. So we're going to have to figure out a way to support Sam
Yeah, sure.
with the other things that we're doing in some sort of way. But I do think that there's a benefit for people to begin to see us as a hub for this,
Mhm.
as a collective where we bring skills that they need. In July, I'll be talking with a series of affordable housing developers. So we'll be bringing Carl's skills in terms of how you build on the land, how they think in development terms. And the village homes will become a really key piece there because it's what they understand. It's how they understand stuff. So the other piece, and again, this is at the bottom of our agenda, but spent 2 hours actually with a woman named Bernie Bank, who ran for Congress not too long ago, here
Yeah,
in the
she
state of,
was a doctor at our VA.
yes,
Bernadine Bank. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
yes.
I know.
And
Yeah.
oh, you know her.
I've talked to her. I mean, I don't know if she remembers me. It's probably been a little while, but yeah, Bernadine Banks, she was a gynecologist, right?
So she's working with Chaz, yeah,
Yeah.
with gynecological things. And she is one of the few people who really gets a bionic pump.
Mm.
Oh, nice.
She is all excited about it. And so she is going to be doing some marketing for us, getting, talks and that kind of stuff going.
Cool.
So again, local. So all the the three of you are, you know, potential people to come and talk about what you're doing and that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
Just,
Great.
just to know that that's there. And she's real excited. We're, yeah, so there's a number of things I've been thinking about. One, we have the rights to do some sort of program or programs with the film Water is Love. I don't know if you've seen that. It's the only one I've really seen that really does talk about the biotic pump. They use the word, I think, maybe once in the film.
Okay.
They do not, the one piece of it that they don't mention is the bacteria that the trees give off that allow the rain to fall. So that
Right.
little loop is not in there.
Yeah, microbiota.
But I want to use that both as an educational and maybe fundraising. Anyway, we're kind of thinking about how to use that film. She's very passionate about Common Ground. That's what
Yeah.
kind of opened her eyes. So there's things we can do with films. I mean, just so anyway, that's kind of what I'm hoping she will bring to the mix is opportunities to really get out in our local area and educate people, which will bring people into being aware of what we're doing and wanting your services to help them do what they wanted to do this in their own property. And I've done
Yeah.
some speaking on that already, but we need to do a lot more of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember she's a very, very kind lady, and I guess I'm not that surprised she's kind of doing some of this work. She's
Yeah, lots of energy,
yeah.
and she's got a real fondness for rural Washington.
Yeah.
So she really has a fondness for regenerative ag, which we have sort of walked around the edges of. So we'll see. Maybe we'll be doing more with that, which is fine.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but to bring that into the bionic pump also, because that's another piece. You know, what I find is like the Miyawaki forest is a great thing. It does amazing things, but a lot of people don't talk about the pump when they talk about the Miyawaki forest. It's just the forest.
Yeah.
Soil is fantastic. Soil, you can't live without it. And yet they don't talk about the biotic pump or even know about it. So
Yeah.
on the agenda, this is another segue. I mean, we're not linear. There is a group called Soil Tribe, which I would like us to agree to join officially as an organization. It is worldwide. It is focused on soil health. It is being paid for and funded by the EU Soil Mission. So it is based in Europe and has a strong Europe focus. They do a lot of things virtually. They are a learning organization. They're doing experiments. They're trying to figure out how to enrich the soils in Europe. And they had no idea of the biotic pump. Okay, zilch, not in their lexicon at all.
Yeah.
So we have all these pieces, but they don't necessarily come together. And the biotic pump is the thing that really holds them together. And I think it makes us more aware of the earth as a living system than doing all the little parts necessarily contributes. And that includes permaculture too, because permaculture again is a system. It's wonderful. It offers a whole lot. It's got a lot of wisdom. It does water management, has a lot of water management techniques, and it still doesn't speak to the pump. And in a time when everything is getting warmer and it's going to continue to get warmer, the only pushback we have is that pump. That's what nature uses. And so there is no one talking about cooling the planet. We are talking about not making it hot through carbon, but carbon is 5% of the cycle.
Right.
And water is 95% of the cycle. And we've not gotten very far with carbon, frankly, with all the thousands and thousands of dollars we've thrown at it. So if we could change that conversation to really thinking about water, we could have an impact because it is a very doable thing. It is things we can actually do. We can take action. We can measure it. We can see the impact. We can change our climate. We can manage our climate if we do it right.
Yeah.
And it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of these pieces.
Sure.
Nothing happens by itself.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's 100%. Like I don't have anything to add to that. That's totally what Zach talks a lot about. And so yeah, we're happy to help any way we can.
Okay, I'm excited. I mean, I
Uh,
really am because this you are all part of the dream for sure. Every one of you brings a piece that I don't have that I can't do, but is vitally necessary. So it's and you've all just sort of like poofed. So it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's
uh,
probably more people out there. We just need to find them and
yes,
reel
yeah.
them in.
Yeah, and the webinar is one of the things I've been able to do that. So we do webinars every other week on Wednesday at 5:30. They're all free. And uh Charles Upton may be somebody that you know, Matt. I don't know. He does work with Zach also. He's
Yeah,
been around for a couple of years, so he
I don't
will,
know him personally, but yeah, I know who he is for
yeah.
sure.
So, and
Yeah.
he's in California, so he'll be talking about his work with land hydrology and stuff and what he's been doing. And
Yeah,
then
very cool.
on the 25th, a guy named Dan Donnelly, who is very famous for biochar on golf courses. We haven't talked about biochar here, but biochar is one of the things that we do support as a kickstart for a lot of things. It's a good use of biomass. It is a carbon sink. It helps the land hold water, and it also helps, it holds nutrients and will feed the soil as well if it's inoculated. We do not at this point have anybody here making biochar at scale. There is a company out in Colville, I hope, I was told, called Qualterra. They just got many millions of dollars and bought a land with a lab. They're creating plants in the lab, which they put in a biochar mix and give to farmers. That's all I know about it. I don't know anything more. I've been trying to get a hold of them to see if they would be interested in selling biochar outside of what they're doing. Because like I said, we don't have anybody here that's making it at scale. We've done several biochar seminars. Kelpie Wilson is in Wenatchee. She has created the Ring of Fire, which is a portable biochar kiln that she got Legislative District 6 to approve of for open air burning in forests. They changed the regulations for her. And they use it in the Forest Service because it doesn't burn the ground when they burn the trash. And they can then put that what's there back in to the ground in terms of biochar. So she's been very active in that realm, but it's with a small portable kiln. So it would be good for a demo, but it's not going to be something for scale. It's a couple $1,000s. It's not that expensive, but still for scale, it's not necessarily going to work, but it would be a start. So we've been in conversation with a bunch of people, including the Spokane Conservation District, Sam and Matt over there about this. And they've all evinced interest, and Garth has evinced interest in biochar, but we've not taken it any further at all. So it would really be good to be able to stimulate that conversation if they want to. Yeah, so Dan is talking about his work doing biochar on golf courses. Now it's unique and it's important because golf courses are really, 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 really picky. You can't do things to the grass that is going to impact the game. It's just not allowed.
Yeah.
So he has been able to finesse the application of biochar onto golf courses in a way that meets all of their standards. So that would be useful for golf courses, but also for parks. So I'm hoping that some of those folks, I'm going to nudge them and see if we can get them into that, to listen to that and just see what they want to do. Because that's another piece of the city's possible contribution to the biotic pump in our local place. If they wanted to do that, if the city decided that it really wants to support soil health and water retention, then there are a lot of things they can do that would really have an impact on the city on a very large scale and then on a regional scale too, because there's so much, this is a big space that if it became a soil sponge, it would have a significant impact. So we're kind of using the webinars to do that. So I want you guys to think about doing or attending webinars. And Sam, July 24th, and it's at the bottom of the agenda. Bio for Climate is offering a Miyawaki Forest Summit. So they're on the East Coast, and Beck, who's head of that group, is trying to create a sort of a hub of people doing Miyawaki things on the East Coast. So I've talked to a couple of people here about doing that here on the West Coast. So we'll see what happens, but would encourage you to attend that and to help us bring what they talk about here
Yeah.
back here as well. If that's of interest to you.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Catherine, I want to add to something that you often say, but the power of Miyawaki Forest, or what we're talking about, is that it's ideas that we can have agency over, that we can actually do something as opposed to, you know, counting our carbon footprint, which is rather abstract and is not doing nearly enough.
Yeah. You don't see the results of that. Even if you lower your carbon footprint, you don't see any changes around you at all. Changes your lifestyle, but you don't see your impact. But with Miyawaki Forest, you do. And people love the woods. It also is, I think, very instrumental in shifting the conversation from planting trees to planting forests. People are really big on planting trees, but they don't understand the difference between trees and forests. And it's an important difference. It's a real important difference. We have developed a fair number of resources that I think are useful for folks. And so I'm encouraging you to think about how you can make use of what we already have in place to further your own personal business, but this collective that we're creating as well, because I think they'll grow together, frankly. I was surprised to find we have a network, which is what you're on now, even though you may not know it. It's a mighty network. It's a platform that's designed for community. And I would love to explore it with you, let you see what it has, what it offers. It offers quite a bit of capacity building. It's a place to hold webinars, to hold classes, to build that kind of thing, to create groups that can work autonomously around different projects. So if you had a Miyawaki forest planting group, they could meet there, they could keep all their records there and talk there, and all that kind of stuff is there. We have about 200 people on it now, which was kind of a surprise to me. But they're all just sitting there, not doing too much, not really engaged. So we need to do something about that. We've got almost 600 people in our newsletter group. So there's a lot of people who know about us that aren't necessarily being active. So the work that Bernie is offering to do in terms of marketing, I think is going to be really germane to get us out, to get us talking in libraries and doing that kind of stuff, so people know about us. I find people are really interested. When I did talks at the Home Builder Show this spring, they were really interested in things. Classes like going from lawns to meadows is something that they're interested in. And that's something that Faith, where understanding their soil
Yeah.
is a useful thing to bring that in. And even the Miyawaki Forest, because it's a small space. People have big yards. So it's not something that they can't do. They could do it if they chose. So that's just opening people's minds to what's possible and the different kinds of agencies that they can have. We were fortunate to be interviewed by Hart Hagen, who is doing the classes for Bio for Climate, and he's got a class coming up in July on water. Carl and I just finished one with him on fire, which was very good. And Hart's just an amazing guy, has a lot of connections, a lot of energy. And so I'm expecting that we'll be developing some sort of partnership with him. I'm not sure what that will look like, but it's really nice to have this encouragement. So we've got a lot going. We just need to build it. And it feels like it's like right there, just kind of wants to go poof. So with all of us together, I think it just might do that. We are a nonprofit. We ourselves are a project of a nonprofit. So we have a fiscal sponsor, which is Inquiring Systems Incorporated, ISI, and they are a national organization. Their sole purpose is supporting other nonprofits. They have experience managing federal grants. They have the capacity to manage employment, all the stuff you have to do with employees and all that kind of stuff. So I don't have to do any of that. We don't have to hire anybody to do that. We do pay them money. And in fact, we're coming up with a payment of about $300, which is part of our quarterly dues for that. And that allows us to write grants. It allows us to accept donations. So we have QR codes, which I encourage you to spread around. We have a QR code for Miyawaki Forest Projects to raise money to contribute to Miyawaki Forest Projects. We have a QR code for scholarships. So 2 scholarships in soil science, which would be attending the Soil Food Web School. And then 1 for land hydrology, which would be attending Water Stories with Zach Weiss. So we've talked to both organizations and they're open to that. We just have to find people and the money to make that happen. And then a QR code for us, which means that that money we can spend however we need to spend it. It's not dedicated to those 2 projects.
Yeah.
Go
And
ahead.
so how often, you said it's quarterly dues for the 300, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so everyone in this group chips in a little bit to make it to get to that 300?
That would be wonderful. The expenses we have right now, because I keep them really low, are our nonprofit expenses and the network expenses.
Yeah.
So the network gets paid every year in September. And there is, and I will let you into that. All the finances are on the network, so you can go see what our budget looks like and where we spend money, and all of that is there. I
Okay.
lost,
Yeah. That sounds
yeah,
good.
I lost my train of thought anyway.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's oh, so yeah, so that comes due. So that is something to think about. Right now, we're at the lowest tier of the Mighty Network, and that's about a little over $400 a year. So I've been paying all of that, and so having help with that would be wonderful. Would be really nice. And yeah, and I think that's I don't know, maybe that's a conversation to figure out how to do that. How we could do memberships, we can do donations, we can do all sorts of things. The network is set up actually to be a membership at $10 a month, or $100 a year. So that is something to get people to understand the benefit. So all the people who sign up for webinars right now get that webinar for free, and they can go back at any time using that same URL and watch that video. But they don't get any other webinar unless they register for another one. If they register for another one, they have that one too. But that's all they get when they register through the webinars is the webinar that they've registered for. If they're a member, they get all of them, and they can see them at any time without a problem. And they don't have to keep the URL, it's just available to them. So that's one benefit. As we start building out classes, as you guys start thinking about classes that you want to offer and that kind of stuff that we can actually charge for, then those become things that they can, once they're given, become evergreen. And so they can see them then on videos over time, so that membership has that advantage at a lower cost. I mean, so there's lots of ways to do this. We just haven't done it yet. And it's been pretty much me. So I'm looking for people to help. Oh, the soil game. So Faith, I thought you might be interested in this. There is a group in Europe, and I've gone through the training. I've done the game. I am certified as a facilitator, sort of, because part of their certification requires managing 3 games, which is not a big deal. I just have not been able to do it. but I thought you might be interested in it. And it's called the Living Soil Game. It's a game with cards that people, and I thought this would be, again, something for $25. People can spend 3 hours learning about soil and other things because we can add our context to it. Again, the bionic pump is not part of this. It's all about soil. And it's fun. It's an interesting way of thinking about training people or educating people. It's very interactive. It's not something that you tell people. They actually do play a game. They have to make choices. They learn about the choices they're making as they make them and that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that, let me know and we can go into that more deeply.
Yeah, I'll
'Cause
look it
I'd
up.
love to have somebody
interesting.
do that
Mhm.
because I don't have the time. So it might be something that,
Okay, yeah, no, definitely. That sounds pretty cool.
okay.
That could be something that we could do in our Ag Hort Club at SCC. That way you have
Oh.
participants.
Oh, yes, that would be fun. Yes, that would
Yeah,
be
they'd be really interested in that.
okay. All right. All right. Maybe we could do that because that, if I could set that up, that would give me one one game I facilitated. So I can talk with them. I have not, I've just sort of dropped that because I've had so many other things going on, but I will go back to that. That would be really so great, Sam. That would be a good thing. Yeah.
We might want to share the Hart Hagen's videos from his seminar, the last one about of forest ecology.
Yes. Yes. Oh, and Hart is just video rich. He has shared so many resources with us. So highly recommend him as well. Yeah.
What's the name again? Hart. What's the first name?
Hagen, Hagan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in the agenda.
Okay.
Although I don't have a link, but his name is in the agenda.
Okay.
And the poster at the bottom is the Bio for Climate. And if you go to the bioforclimate.org website, his classes are listed there. So I highly recommend his classes. Now he does charge for them. So we know it's possible. We just have to build a following so that we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
yeah, but he's really a fount of information and he's a sweet, sweet guy. His passion for earth is just heartwarming. And he loves his plants. So he spends a fair amount of time in many of his classes or meetings, walking you through his garden to share the plants and you get to see them and he names them. So he's teaching people about plants while he's doing
Cool.
that.
Nice.
It's pretty neat. Yeah. He's a great guy.
Yeah, cool. We'll check them out.
So Sam, you want to join us?
What do you mean? Do you want me to tell you about my plans?
Yeah.
Okay. So far, I'm just in the very beginning processes. I've been, I guess, doing surveying of sorts and trying to figure out which plants would be best for our region and like the soils in our region. I've just been doing like baseline stuff at the moment and trying to figure out other organizations I can be involved with and really what I need to,
resources for you on that too.
yeah. What I need to figure out is gathering funds and sourcing materials from local areas and figuring out land and how I can get that if I'd have to go through the city, if I could find somebody with private land that wants to contribute or city parks, stuff like that. Eventually, I'd like to be involved with the public schools, but I don't know if I could start there. I've been propagating a lot of native species myself, but I don't know if I could do enough of that fast enough to be plausible. So I might have to go through a native nursery that's local. I think that the only one I know of is Desert Jewels Nursery. There might be a couple other ones, but
Yeah,
that is the one that I know of.
She knows about us too. Yeah. And
Yeah,
she's
okay.
permaculturist. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd also like to connect with the tribes eventually. That would be a cool segue with the public schools to have them know about that and their stewardship practices and all those kind of things. I'm not sure how I should go about contacting them. I do have a contact from like I know a guy who knows a guy type of thing. I
Yeah.
don't know if that'll be good enough though. So I need
It's a
to
Well,
start.
we're
Yeah,
trying to get
yeah.
somebody on the board who's on UCUT.
Okay.
So his wife had agreed to be on the board earlier. She's still on the website. She doesn't attend often because she's got 2 kids and they've got a farm and she's got a business. So she's kind of busy, especially at this time. So I suggested maybe her husband would like to take her place, but it's the beginning of the conversation. So I'm hoping that we can do that. We'll see.
Yeah.
So good. So do you want to join Soil Smart though?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will tell you what I told both Matt and Faith. So send me a picture and a short bio. And if you have a website that you want to tout, or if you have a website for your project. I don't know if you do.
No, I don't.
Okay, all right. But so you don't have to do that. But if you do have something, feel free to send it to me and I will put that on the website.
Okay.
We will, as we become more comfortable working together and really are thinking together about all this, I do want to build out the website so that there is more presence. So you guys have more presence. I've already been talking to Mitch about that, and he's working on his website to morph in, to connect and to utilize some of what he's doing for his website for ours. Because his tool is special. It requires, it's just different. So it would be more a sales page for his tool and showcasing what he does kind of thing. So feel free to think that way. That's fine with me, but we will be redesigning the website to do that. So think about all that. Yeah. So I'm just going to need stuff from you guys to do that. And Carl, that includes you. Okay. Any questions?
If I have some resources to post, I can just go to the Soilwise Mighty Network. And is there, I haven't explored it honestly,
Yes,
but is there like a
that
folder structure? I could put something under water
yes,
retention,
yes,
stuff like that.
yes, that is perfect. Really encourage people to do that, all of you, because I can't do everything. That becomes, my hope is that will become a repository of all this kind of information. So anyone who wants to know about soil, about the Miyawaki forest, about water retention, how do you do that, there's stuff there. We have a YouTube channel, which is at Soil Smart, Soil Wise. So there is a ton of stuff there. We're just building that out. I have another YouTube channel, which is Bridge to Partnership. So it's YouTube at Bridge to Partnership, which is really focused on a lot of this with a few other eclectic things. So I do coaching from the perspective of Earth, have a value set that I've distilled from the planet, basically, and that I utilize in that. So all that stuff is there. It's more woo-woo than than the city site, which is to be a little more official. And I'm working hard not to have them morph together too much. But still, that may come. I mean, I think one of the things that happens when you start working with soil and the earth in particular, there's a spiritual aspect to it when you're working with life. It's just not stuff. And it really does shift you. So it opens that aspect of your life and your heart as well as your mind. So we haven't talked about that a lot on Soil Smart, Soil Wise, but it's certainly there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Sarah from this Crescent group talks about that a lot, and it's like energetics, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it certainly seems to be a real thing. So they've experienced some things. They've been doing it for 15 years or something. Mm-hmm. And they've been to other countries helping them. With their.
Oh, maybe she'd like to do a webinar for us.
Oh, I'm sure she would.
Maybe, yeah.
I think they're probably busy now, but I think she definitely would.
Yeah, they're pretty busy. I mean, they got, but I can certainly try to talk to them and certainly meeting them face to face for the first time this last week was, I built a rapport. So, yeah, I think she'd be happy to do that, I'm sure. But yeah.
Yeah, it's
But-
only an hour and they don't have to travel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
that is-
Yeah. They, they're in the process of buying a home in 10 acres where they're gonna basically host a lot of the trainings and stuff, similar to what we just did this last week.
Cute.
And they have a whole network, of followers and courses set up and
Right.
all of that. So, but yeah, definitely I can see when it'll probably be later this year, but we can try to reach out and
Okay.
see what she says. So.
And then real quick, Carl, do you have an email? If you want to send some soil samples, maybe I could just email you about it and tell you how to.
Here's
take
my
the
email.
samples. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, it should be in the agenda email too.
Oh, is it? Oh, I can
Okay.
just look it up.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So we can there's a gentleman who lives in Village Homes who is a retired regional water expert, and he has a great website documenting some of the performance, including what Catherine mentioned, videos of the rain event, 5 inches of rain in a day, and showing how quickly the ground absorbed the water.
Nice.
So he could get the soil. I mean, I assume you don't need very much.
It just depends if there's areas of thick trees or normal trees, like you can take separate samples. We just take like 3 cores around one plant and put that in a bag. With the apple core works great.
Okay. Well, that sounds doable.
Yeah.
When you look at the videos and you can see, you get a sense about the density of fruit trees.
Yeah.
And also being described by 2 permaculture gurus.
Yeah. Mollison took a trip and was quite floored by what he saw.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, if they're interested, they can test the minerals as well. The Malic 3 test, like it goes to Logan Labs, and I mean, I think it's $35, $40 or something like that. And then I'd be happy to do some mineral balancing. Shouldn't take me too long. I would just need some other information like the space, for each tree or whatever, if they wanted to balance the minerals. But it
Do they
sounds
have
like,
any disease in their fruit trees at all, or is it all pretty healthy?
We can ask them. Bill, in the video from 2013 by Jeff Lawton, he doesn't mention anything. He says it's the healthiest food forest sort of fruit trees he's ever seen.
Oh, nice.
nice.
Cool.
Yeah. So they could probably
so-
do without. They're probably okay then.
Yeah.
But it'd
Well,
be cool.
you know-
It'd be
We'll see what the biology looks like.
it'd be
though.
interesting for us to look at the biology under the microscope and
Yeah,
see what we see.
Yeah, one thing that
And-
we've learned from the fire course is that for every 1% of increased biomass, or the amount of water that 1 acre of land will hold is like 25,000 gallons for every 1% increase in
Yeah.
bacteria.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's a USDA, actually. It's from a USDA.
so it'd be interesting also. I mean, to compare it to neighboring conventional development that are just lawns, which we probably pretty much know that the soil health is
Yeah.
Yeah.
not very high.
Very limited. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's where this Crescent group has really kind of made a name for themselves. First in Southern California and then in Utah is they call it re-entry, the amount of time you have to wait to go back in after it's been sprayed with chemicals. And
Oh,
they spray with life, with biology and with minerals, and they're finding more and more people, it's like 3 to 4 to 5 day re-entry times to go back into an area after it's been sprayed with chemicals. And there's a there's no entry time with, you know,
Right.
using life instead of death to help.
Yeah.
help
What
your
a
plants.
concept.
So,
Yeah.
right.
I had this is just sort of more, I think, interesting stuff, but I had a conversation with a woman who is incorporating biomimicry into human organization and corporate organizations. It's all very interesting.
That's cool.
But she and I had some data on the amount of acres that are in America that are monocrop tree forests,
Mm.
and what I knew was the amount of acres of soy and um,
Cool.
corn.
Yeah.
And she suggested that I should look at lawns, which thinking that it would be the largest area of monocrop planting. And what I found, or for whatever it's worth, was the total area of lawn in our country is 40 to 65 million acres.
Wow.
Wow.
This is compared to both soy and corn is about, not together, separate, individually, they're about 90 million acres. And but this is compared to the number of acres that are monocrop tree farms is 500 million acres.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
it's very much the timber industry wanting us to look over there. Don't
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Interesting. Huh.
Very interesting. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, when we go through Oregon, there's a ton of tree farms.
Yep.
Our neighbors right over here, and yeah, that is really interesting. Wonder how healthy or unhealthy some of those
They're very unhealthy.
areas,
Yeah, it looks
are.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
And that's why the pump is important, because we see those trees and we think it's fine because we've been planting trees, not forests. And it's not.
right.
It
Yeah.
does not
Right.
do anything for the pump.
these tree farms for lumber, there's no understorage, there's no other, there's no biodiversity.
Right.
So the soil is, predictably poor.
So
Yes.
it's not going to
Yeah.
impact the climate, nor is it going to call rain.
Yeah.
And it's also accelerates runoff.
Yeah.
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 One thing, related to something you said, the rain on poor soil is the thing that makes it the hardest.
Oh, bare
Um,
soil? Yeah.
but in the forest, it's even exasperated because the big machines that they drive all around the forest to process the lumber
Mhm.
is really compacting the soil.
Yeah. Yeah. Heavy equipment just, yeah. Flattens it. Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
sad.
Plus,
Yeah.
no living mulch of any kind, no living plants that
Yeah.
They take it all away because it's fuel for the fire.
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah. So there's
They're starving it as well.
Yeah.
yeah, just open soil just getting compacted with the rain, and plus the
Yep.
equipment, it's a double whammy.
Yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
So,
Well, wonderful, folks. I will post this video and the summary on the website. So you will get a special link invitation to all of the Soil Smart spaces on the network. So that you have, and only you will have access, so other people don't see it. It's invisible. They don't even see it. They don't even know that it's there. So I will send you that so you can see past videos or past summaries, because sometimes there was just Carl and I, we didn't do videos necessarily. And yeah, so yeah, there's lots more information about the projects that we are doing, have been doing, started. And then just tons of information in different areas, webinars, all of that. Interviews with people under inspiring videos, just interviews with people in different areas, all of that. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff there.
Nice.
cool. Yeah. And then we'll have access to make folders and post things under.
Yes, I can give you permissions to do that.
Okay.
Indeed.
Yeah. I mean, we can give it to you if you want, but yeah, might be easiest if you.
It's much easier if you do it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
We are a DIY organization.
Yeah.
If you have any contact with Zach Weiss, I absolutely love his work, but in the California won't stop burning until we do this.
Yeah.
He puts some data on the amount of energy that 1 liter of water transpiring, but he uses the amount of energy that it releases and cools. His point is a car battery, which isn't very. It's sort of. I want to reach out to him and like get a better idea what that means.
Okay.
It'd be great to see that in BTUs or something, or
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that
Something
makes sense.
more
Yeah,
measurable.
and
like
Carl
that.
does have some information on that. He's been doing a little research about how big a bang you can get
Oh,
and what
sure.
it looks like when it goes bang. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I've met Zach. I worked with him last year. I didn't start with that, but I'm assuming, well, you guys, you know, I think it was in my bio, or
Yeah.
maybe Catherine shared it, but yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't have him on speed dial kind of a relationship, but I worked with him, and yeah, he's just he's kind of a maniac with all the projects and stuff he's doing, and just always working. But yeah, I took his class last year. I don't know what they've introduced this year. I don't think I remember the car battery reference.
Well, I mean, this is the kind of information I'm really keen about is because it speaks to how much a forest or healthy soil can cool
Yeah.
a microclimate or the earth.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And Zach is somebody that I have in mind for some of the things I hope to do here in the city, actually, when we get to the point. And this is part of our discussion with Bernie.
Yeah.
If we can get to the point where we can hold, I have in mind 2 working meetings, one on water and one on fire, to bring city and county officials together to sit for a day to hear this information and then to make promises about how they're going to change what they do based on what they've just learned.
Yeah.
So that we can hold their feet to the fire and hold them accountable in the coming months. So that's on the agenda of things that we hope to achieve. It'll be a couple of years, I think, before we can get to that point, because they have to be invited and we have to have those relationships. So we're in the process of doing that kind of stuff. And I think Bernie
Yeah.
can help with that. So
Yeah, I mean, whenever you end up talking to Zach, and you bring in Bernie, I want to call her Dr. Bank. But yeah, whenever that time comes, I think it'd be a nice kind of passing the baton for Zach if he knew he had one of his students to
yes.
kind of like, you know, hey, I'm going to start this, but I don't have time to continue that. So
Well, and that's why I really want to build the resources here. So you guys are really, really important for that, because that you're the start of that. We really want to have people here in the city with this expertise, so that when people want to do it, they can do it now. They don't have to wait.
Yeah.
And we don't have to import people from California or other places to do
Yeah.
that.
Hey.
So wonderful. Thank you folks very much for being here. Mitch sent his regrets. He couldn't make it tonight, but like I said, the video will be available so he can listen to that and get a flavor for who you are. So really, really appreciate your being here and look forward to the wonderful things we're going to make happen in this
Me
town.
too. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Excited.
exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, nice to meet you guys.
It was nice meeting everyone.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.
Okay. Matt, are you a veteran?
I am, yeah. I was a medic. I was a combat medic. I was in the Army Guard for 9 years. And yeah, so I was healing, not killing. I was a medic. And so yeah, I got out and I stayed with the medical team and got my RN license and been working at the VA as a nurse. So but
Oh,
yeah.
thank you for being a healer and
Yeah. You're, of course, yeah, a healer, not a killer. but yeah, no, I think now what needs the most healing is the planet, right? And
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
gotta
Yep.
start local, and yeah,
Yep.
hopefully we can be the next Village Homes on a larger scale.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yep.
Yeah, it is
Like-
actually a worldwide movement. The Sponge City movement is worldwide. China's
Oh.
is really taken that on in a big way. And I think
Oh, cool.
there are cities all across the world that have taken it on. So
Awesome.
Nice.
not
Yeah.
impossible.
Cool. Is there a website, like spongecity.org or something we could check
I
out?
have not found one actually.
Okay.
Yeah, there's another group that Carl and I are in. A person there said we should become a hub for that, and that would be great. But we're doing what we're doing right here now first.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's
Yeah.
turn Spokane over, and then we'll
Yeah.
tackle another city.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not facetious.
No, yeah, let it be an example, do
Yep.
the work first and let it be an example for others,
Yeah.
and hopefully other cities will follow.
Yep.
I'm also compelled to ask Faith, are you a veteran?
No, I'm not. Nope.
I just don't want to leave it hanging that, just that as a woman were
Oh,
were
I
not a
appreciate
veteran.
it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually met right before I went to Iraq. We only dated for a few months.
Yeah.
And she I didn't ask her to, but she kind of just kept in contact, so I knew she was a keeper when I came back. So yeah,
Now you got our dating history.
Yeah. yeah. So, but yeah, we kept in contact, and then I knew she was she was good stuff, and so I married her.
You have a couple of kids too, right?
Yes, 2 daughters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're 8 and 5.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. My connection to that is probably the person who I've read the most of his books is Omar Bradley from World War II.
Oh yeah.
A great human being, even though he was an army general. But that's a whole other.
Yes, you'll
Yeah.
hear more.
Yeah, no, I know the name, but not much on the details. I've heard people talk about him. So
Yeah, I'm sorry. He one of the things that he talks about, and this is aligns with your comment about this health of the draftees.
yeah,
So as the army started expanding before World War II, they were just getting people who were undernourished, and so they put a lot of effort into nourishment, better food.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I wonder if he knew about Albrecht, or if Dr. Albrecht was sprinkled in his story somewhere, because that's literally what he was looking at.
Yeah.
So,
Anyways, lovely to meet all of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
very
And,
much.
Meet everyone.
likewise. All right,
Okay.
guys, look forward to the next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.